Hi everybody, so I just want to make a short video about the natural laws of the universe that we're all governed by, whether we know it or not. So I mentioned in a previous video the natural law, universal laws, and how they affect us. So many have sought to understand these laws. They are eternal, they are constant, and they aren't open for analysis, and there's no judgment or penalty for breaking them. So these laws aren't man-made, they are more statements of conditions, and many people aren't aware of them, but just like the law of gravity, they are always in operation and apply to everything, regardless of whether you believe in them or not. So obviously, we have free will to choose or not whether we're going to live, in harmony with them. But if they are ignored, if we choose to stay in ignorance, we violate them and things can get worse. So people who are winning are operating and living in harmony with these laws. So to live in harmony with them, we need to understand how they are governing our lives. And once we apply that consciously, we can master our experiences, our circumstances and people that we manifest. So the laws are based around these 7 Hermetic principles. Now, if you've got no idea what I'm talking about, let me explain. So Hermeticism is a branch of spiritual philosophy and ancient teachings, and they date back as early as the 1st century AD. So they were outlined by the famed author Hermes Trismegistus. It's quite a mouthful to say. And his work went on to influence both the ancient Greek and Egyptian cultures, both adopting him as God of wisdom. So over time, the 7 Hermetic principles were passed down by word of mouth from teachers to students. And many years later, in 1908, the teachings were compiled and published into a book called the Kabbalion. And you might have heard of that under the pseudonym The Three Initiates. And today they've become like a source of wisdom, separate from any real religion, but powerful nonetheless. So you might know of Raymond Hollowell. He wrote about the 11 truth principles for successful living in his 2005 book, Working with the Law. There's also the book, The Light Shall Set You Free. And that was written about 12 universal laws and 21 sub-laws. And the book, Lighting the Light Within, there are 20 universal laws written about in that book. So researching this subject, I found someone who had discovered 105 universal laws. So there are a lot more out there, more than what we're aware of. So while these 7 principles are just one way of understanding the universe, they aren't so confined, and they can be studied alongside other spiritual philosophies. So as you gain a fuller understanding of the laws, you'll see how they're all related and they overlap with each other. So I'm going to talk about these laws based around the 7 Hermetic principles to give you an insight into their operation and how we can use them as a source of inspiration and empowerment to improve our lives. So let's get into the first 2 laws in this video, because I want this video to be fairly short. So the first law is the main overall arching one, is the law of divine oneness. And so everything in the universe is connected to everything else. The world doesn't consist of separate individuals, things, or events. We are all parts of a unified field of intelligent energy. That is the source of everything. Everything is energy. So all of humanity and life, or God, or energy, universe, Allah, divine creation, whatever that is for you, we are all connected. There is no separation. So each soul is energy. Energy is everywhere. It permeates through all things living and material. The knowledge of the universe is infinite and available to us. So it's important as a human race to start realizing and understanding this law. Everything we think, believe, say, do affects everything else. So we have to learn to transmute negative thoughts, words, emotions, and actions into positive ones. It really is true that we reap what we sow. As we think of the good in others, they in turn will think of the good in you. So whether you accept it or not, there is no separation. So how would you behave if you really knew that you were not separate from life, your friends, your colleagues, and every being that has ever existed? And the answer is probably quite differently. So the second law is the law of vibration. Now, Nikola Tesla is quoted to say, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So science shows us through quantum physics that everything is energy. Nothing rests. Everything moves, vibrates, and travels around in circular patterns, okay? So solids have a lower frequency than liquids and gases. And what we perceive as color is just frequencies of light. And a table may look solid and still, but within the table, there are billions of subatomic particles running around and popping with energy. The table is pure energy and movement. Everything in this universe has its own vibrational frequency. It is the law of vibration in action. However, we can't see it with our eyes, so it appears separate and solid to us, which is the illusion. Okay, so try to think of frequency as a state of being that you are in or feeling. Your frequency is different from the frequency of other people and things, and that is the reason why you appear separate. However, it is possible to switch the frequency. So, for instance, if you want to listen to a different radio program, switch to another FM channel. By switching the channel, you set your radio at different frequency, which receives different signals. The same applies to people. We transmit and receive signals at different frequencies. So another example is, so say there are two guitars tuned the same. If you pluck the C string on guitar 1, you will activate the C string on guitar 2, and this will start to vibrate. That's because they're on the same vibration, on the same frequency, which leads to harmonic resonance. The same applies to an opera singer's tones in her voice. The tone resonates with the crystal glass's frequency and shakes the glass. The sound of her voice vibrates the air molecules around the glass as its resonant frequency, which amplifies that frequency, causing the glass to start shaking. So we can also see this in entanglement in quantum physics. Now, if you've heard of entanglement before, you know, it's been known theoretically for decades, but it's only been recently proved by experiment. So quantum entanglement is a phenomenon observed where entangled particles stay connected so that the interaction performed on one of the particles affects the other, no matter the distance between the two. That's just mind-blowing. So the reason I'm explaining this, more importantly, our thoughts and emotions also emit a vibrational frequency. We are constantly vibrating and broadcasting at different frequencies, and we're moving up and down in frequency all day long. So we harmonize with other people and circumstances based on their vibration. And if we want to change the results, we have to change our vibration first. So if you're wondering where you are vibrating at any moment, there's an easy way to find out. So what are you thinking? How do you feel? What is happening around you? So when we're vibrating low, you'll find stress, anxiety, frustration, sadness, anger. But when you're vibrating high, you'll feel light, relaxed, optimistic, eager, and grateful, you know. And in this space, things tend to naturally go well. So traffic lights go green, strangers smile at you, life feels pretty good, you know, things are working out. And of course, you know, bad things happen and we react because that's our programming, but we don't need to do that. You know, we always have a choice in choosing our reaction. You know, what might feel right, it might be just some old patterns and ways, habitual ways of thinking. So these are two of the laws or principles, and I'll cover the other laws in the series of next videos. So that's all for me, and bye for now.